You're tuned in to Talon. Talon it like it is. This week I've got some very exciting news, and it came from some criticism that I got. And I'm someone who's always open to criticism because it's a good way for me to keep myself in check and try to keep things changing. So one thing I've gotten, and part of the reason that I'm open to it is because this is really people's criticism of themselves more so than my show. Don't come for my show. But these people are messaging me, and they're saying, Talon, everything you have to say is so ingenious, and I want to soak up every last word of it, but my mind has been rotted by social media and farming games and television shows and certain musics that are out there, and I just can't pay attention to a half an hour of someone talking as much as I wish with all my heart that I could. And I hear your pleas. So I've decided that I'm going to make this show more segmented so that it's not just all a bunch of one thing. So we're launching a segment today. Voice of the people. That's right, voice of the people. And that's where you people can write in and call in and email me and all of those things, and I'll answer your questions on the air. And so, to usher in this new era of segmented programming, we're going to kick it off with a full episode of Voice of the People. That's right, Voice of the People. Now let's get to our first question.
Hi there, Talon. This is Ethel B. from Machias, Maine, and I'm just calling in to ask. I've heard a lot of people online and on YouTube talking about that the Earth is flat. And I know scientists say that it's round, but I think that scientists lie a lot about a lot of stuff nowadays, like of the climate and about smoking being bad for you. So I'm just wondering if you know if the Earth is flat or not, Talon, because I'm worried about it. Thank you so much. I hope you answer this on the air. And hi to Bobby and little Jim too.
Well, thank you, Ethel, for your question, and hello to Bobby and Lil Jim as well as from me. Now, I'm glad you asked this question because I know there's quite a buzz about this issue now going on today. And I think a big part of the reason for it is that science has made such, and you make a great point there, Ethel, and I want to say I'm glad to see that people are waking up. Because there's people understand that science is a pack of lies. And so they're looking and they always think, oh, well, the Earth must be round because science says so. And now that people realize science is wrong, they're waking up and they're saying, well, since science says it's round, it must not be. Which I don't know if that's necessarily the approach you want to take, because even a broken clock is right twice a day. Or if you take it in a plane and fly against the rotation of the Earth in the time zones, then it could possibly be right all day. Or a lot more. So you have to look at the possibilities through science of it being right and it being wrong. So anyway, the flat Earth people make a lot of good points, and a lot of them are things like as if a sailboat was going away from you, it should disappear. But if you look at it through binoculars, you keep seeing it. So they raise a very valid point there about, and also people in the flat earthing, they're saying that the United Nations has a flat Earth as their flag. And so why would they be lying about it if they're the United Nations? And I'm saying, hey, buddy, wake up and smell the coffee, because the United Nations, of course, are lying. So maybe don't go to them for your advice. If you're trying to wake up and see things the way they really are, I'm not going to want you to go to the United Nations to find out about that. Anyway, though, my problem is people are saying the Earth is round, or that it's round, or that it's a flat disc, and all the people who say that, I'm saying to you, have you ever read a certain book called the Holy Bible, King James Version? Because in that book they talk about the four corners of the Earth, and so you're saying, okay, does a ball have four corners? No. Does a flat round disc have four corners? No. Now, some of you people are probably thinking, really, Talon, are you trying to tell me the Earth is a flat square? No, it's a tetrahedron. And if you think about that, that's the only other shape with the four corners on it, and explains everything about the way that the flat Earth world works, and it explains everything about the way the round world works. So I encourage you to watch 3 or 4 hours of videos on the internet about flat Earth theories, and watch 3 or 4 hours of videos, if you can actually find enough of them, about the round Earth, globe Earth theory, and then you watch both of them, and then you realize, oh, where their flaws are is the tetrahedron Earth. So I want you to, that's my little homework for you, Ethel, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So, and thank you so much for calling, and maybe we'll send you out a carton of squares.
Talon, so bro, I was just curious, you ever think about, like, are clothes that we wear is, like, made by slaves on the other side of the world, and it's just crazy economic despair all around us. Do you have anything to say about that, bro?
Well, you asked a few questions, and I'll answer all of them. Because the first one that you asked is, have I ever thought about that? And no, I have not. I never took the time before. But now that I'm having it brought up to me, I have so many thoughts on the topic. And you're saying that these people making things across the world are slaves. But that's not what I've heard. I've heard that they actually make several cents on the hour for their work. And the thing is that of course, if you're in America and you're used to getting paid, $7.35 an hour or whatever most normal people make, yes, that seems like kind of a ripoff to only get paid a few cents an hour. But you have to understand that these people over in all these countries of the world, these other weird places where they make our things, these people, before we brought them capitalism, these people were living just out doing farming and living in these kind of dumb, old, ancient cultures that were thousands of years old, and they didn't even know that new things are better than old things yet before we came and gave them capitalism. And we said, oh, no, guys, don't keep doing this same old things that your families have been doing for all of history. You want the new stuff. You want the cool stuff. You want the great stuff. So we make them build all the things for us, but really it's very good for them because it's lifting them out of poverty. Because sure, in a non-capitalist society where people are agrarian and they aren't materialistic, you might say that there's actually no such thing as poverty in those societies because there's no such thing as wealth, and poverty only exists due to an absence of wealth. And to that I say, you are wrong, and I don't think I need to explain why that's wrong because it's just so dumb on face value. So we are lifting these people out of the poverty that we have created or not created, but either way, they're being lifted out of poverty, and I think that's great. So I think you call them slaves, but I call them future bajillionaires. Thank you for your question, and I think we have another one coming up.
Talon, this is Jacob F. calling from Puyallup, Washington, and I have to say that I took issue with certain comments in a recent episode that you had made. You had insinuated that the Democrats wanted to be using fossil fuels to make dinosaurs, and I think that that's absolutely preposterous. So what I'm wondering is if you can back that up with real science, or if it's just another unproven theory.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you so much for that question, because even though it might have seemed a little antagonistic, and I'm sure a lot of my loyal listeners are a little bit upset with you for the tone that you took, I'm glad to have dissenting opinions appear on this show. And I'm glad to answer this question, because, as much as I did give very specific references during the episode, I said you could find it on links online, that there was links to it, and that you could find them through Twitter. So I gave you the website. I don't know if you're the one who's not going on there and finding out the facts. That's really not, well, but I do want to address that, because here's the thing. Now, think about it this way. It's a well-known fact, and Jacob, I think even you would admit this, that the shady intelligent agencies of the government are always about 20 to 25 years ahead of the people in their technologies. Now, a lot of this is because treaties they've made with certain extraterrestrials, and some of this is just because they have all the money and the resources, and they buy up a lot of the secret technologies, but they're always about 25 years ahead of us. And so I had the idea for this technology to turn fossil fuels back into dinosaurs, and I was sitting and I was thinking that would probably take me about 15 years to figure out how to do that. So if I had that idea 6 months ago, and it would only take me 15 years to definitely figure it out, then doesn't that mean that the government has already had that technology for 10 years? So the thing is, right now, you're acting like, does it even exist? We need to worry about, is it being used and how to stop it. Jacob, stop it. All right, let's bring up another question.
Talon, hi, this is Clarence P. from Westchester, Pennsylvania. I'm just wondering if you could have any one superpower in the world, what would you have, and how would you use it?
Well,
thanks so much.
You're welcome so much, Clarence, and thank you for calling in. That's a very interesting question with a very obvious answer. If I could have any superpower in the whole world to have, I would have the U.S. military, because the U.S. military is the only superpower, and even Vladimir Putin admits it in a press conference recently, is that the only real superpower is the might of the American military, because the thing is that these other armies are going around and they're sitting around and waiting for a war, They're sitting around and waiting till maybe they have to fight someone, till they get attacked or they need something. But not America. America is always fighting a war. We're staying sharp. While these other guys are resting on their laurels, the American military is out there fighting endlessly, without fail. We've been fighting since we've been around, and that's what makes us so powerful, is that we just absolutely never stop fighting wars, even for a moment. And that's why I want that power over anything else. Because the thing is that, some people, if you ask them what superpower they want, I'd want X-ray vision. Well, I'll just get the army to blow everything up, and then I don't need to look through it because it's not even there anymore. And some people say, if I had a superpower, I'd be able to fly. And I say if you're looking at the drone screen, it's like you can fly. It's every superpower rolled into one. And also, I would have a giant pizza party for all the boys in uniform, because they think they really deserve it. I think that's what they've been asking for. So thank you, Clarence, for your question, and I think we got another one in the chamber here. Fire it off.
Tony here from Orlando. I was just wondering about what's going on with the Supreme Court with Eric Garland, being in the process of being nominated, but not having gone through the nomination yet. So I was wondering what your thoughts are in terms of this Supreme Court vacancy left open by Anthony Scalia. So if you could please answer that, Talon, I'd really like your insight on this issue that, is with the whole aborting thing going on, it's a pretty pressing issue. Thanks.
Thank you for your question, Tony. And I want to I want to first of all give a little salute and a sorrowful so long to Anthony Scalia, who you referenced in your question. I got the occasion to meet Mr. Scalia, Justice Scalia, on a few occasions. And if there's one thing that I would say about him, is that he was someone who just radiated this lightness and this really just pure, friendly energy. And you just would meet him and you just know he was a good person. And he was such a good, friendly individual. And he was one of the best Italians that's ever happened. And so I want to just, well, we'll see you later, buddy, up in heaven, because we know that's where you are, because you were such a beacon of truth and honor in this world. But in light of him exiting stage left to that, big hunting lodge in the sky, I think that here's my idea, is that in the Constitution, they say that there's no particular number of justices. That's never specified. So, as you know, the famous war criminal communist Frankfurt Delano Roosevelt had tried to add a bunch of justices to the court when he was president to push his agenda down the throats of the American people. And people weren't too kindly to that. But I think in a way, even though he was trying to subvert democracy, that there's a way to make this better, to make democracy better. Because there's no certain amount of people on the court. I say we make the number of people on the Supreme Court 330 million. And we just, everything that the Supreme Court decides is that every American person is a Supreme Court justice. And we all have to get together and wear robes and talk about it and figure it out as a people and as a family and as a team. So I guess your question when you ask what one person should we put on there, I say answer that question 300 million times, because it's all of us. And I think that, obviously the Senate would have to approve us one by one, but the Senate can work through these things in a quick and orderly fashion when they want to. So we'll just bang it out real quick, get us all approved, and then we can start really making the decisions. Because if we know one thing, is that it's the American people, we can make good decisions. It's just all these Ivy League educated people, bureaucrats, standing in the way of our quick, efficient, and accurate decisions. So I think that's the best thing that we could probably do. But short of doing that, I think that we need to add someone who is truly someone who understands that the Constitution understands what's between the lines. And I think if you read between the lines, between those lines of what I just said, you'll know what I mean. And I know a question that we all have is, what should I buy? Or how should I spend my money? I know I'm always asking myself that. And the only way you can really get that answer, that question answered, is to listen to commercials. So why don't you do that right now?
You fought for our freedom over there. Why should you have to fight constipation here? Introducing Honorable Discharge, the first laxative marketed specifically towards veterans. That's right. We want your money because you are heroes and you have some money. Honorable Discharge will relieve you of your duty. That's our duty. Some restrictions may apply, and you may have not actually fought for freedom, may have fought for the interests of global elites and a cabal of bankers.
Are you in the market for a new religion? Why not try Catholicism? Catholicism is the oldest form of Christianity and we have a pope. You just don't get that with other religions, folks. Our pope is so cool, you'll forget why you ever felt weird and suspicious of Catholicism in the first place. Come join us today.
Side effects may include crippling guilt, alcoholism, and too many children. Welcome back, folks, and thank you so much to our sponsors for keeping us afloat. Because, I would like to be able to do this show purely off donations, but I don't know if there's a problem with the website or something, because when I'm looking at it, I'm told that there's a donation button there, but it doesn't seem like many of you have been clicking it. So please, if you're having an issue, you want to give us money because you love this show and you know that it takes money to make something work in America, then please send it in. But until then, we'll be having advertisers and we'll be loving them. So, this is the Voice of the People. Voice of the People episode. So, let's get back to the people. Why don't we have another question?
Jacob asks again. I just have another thing that I want to address with you, because in the episode that you did about guns and firearms, you made it seem as if these people with their guns are going to be able to stop the government from doing all the bad things, or that you think are bad anyway, by taking over. And I say the government has so many airplanes and tanks and all these really good kind of weapons that you really think that a bunch of guys out there with just trucker hats and AR-15s and guns, you think these guys are going to be able to stand up to the real government of the United States? Because that seems pretty far-fetched. And I'm not talking about the Pokemon with that name either. I'm talking about the theory as another unproven theory.
Well, Jacob, I have a theory. It's called the theory of Jacob, and it says that I think this guy is kind of a jerk, and I think you just proved my theory right, because I am open to answering was open to answering your questions, but you're just getting aggressive with me, and I don't think it's very fair, but I'll answer your question anyway, because I hear people saying this line of attack all the time. They're saying, you can't just have a bunch of religious guys living out in the middle of nowhere with a semi-automatic weapons take down the U.S. government. And I say, have you ever been to a country called Afghanistan? Because I haven't, but I know what's going on there, and it kind of proves you wrong if you think about it. So maybe you should think twice before you're so mean to people and get shut down with a very good answer like that again. And we will not be taking any more calls from Jacob F. Because Jacob can F himself. I apologize to any of our more sensitive listeners, but there's no reason to attack me like that. Next question, please, from a fan this time.
Hey, Talon, it's Ted C. from Highland Park. I was really digging your show until I heard that episode with Professor Anthony Robinson where you guys talked about Stanley Kubrick. I thought it was a little weird how, the episode was great. Don't get me wrong. Good stuff. But you guys talked on so long. It was so long, I would have thought I was watching Barry Lyndon or something. But you guys were talking about it so long, but you guys didn't mention anything about how he filmed the moon landing. So I thought that was a little disingenuous and a little disappointing, quite honestly. You may have seen me tweet at you a little bit about it. Sorry that I called you and your wife those names, but I just kind of feel like this is kind of a weird issue. All right. Thanks again. Big fan, but seriously, you kind of messed up. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, because you know what? I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think that's a real concern from a fan. You're not one of these Jacob F's going around with a heart full of venom, kind of just spreading this vitriolic, caustic hate. I think you really do want this show to be better, and you want the American people to get the answers that they deserve. And, we didn't talk about that because we were talking about the Kubrick convention, and there's actually a big sign. The first thing you see on the door when you walk in is none of that moon landing business, is what they say. And then underneath that, they say, have fun. So we did both. And so, but I we're not at the Kubrickon anymore, and so I don't need to honor their terms and conditions. So what I will say is, yes, Stanley Kubrick filmed a moon landing. And everybody's thinking, oh, that means that it was fake. Nobody ever stops to think that they brought Stanley Kubrick along to the moon because they wanted the footage to be really good. Everybody thinks, oh, it's either that he filmed it or it's real. It was real. And he filmed it. I don't see what's so hard to wrap your head around about this. And, it's not one of the top things on his resume. It's, when you're talking about the guy who did the movie AI Artificial Intelligence, masterpiece of his. We're going to waste time talking about the moon landing footage that he did. But yes, he did go to the moon. And I'm kind of sick of all this crud about people trying to insinuate that the moon landing was fake, because I think that's exactly what the fat cats in Washington want you to think, is that the moon landing was fake. Because if you're talking about whether the moon landing was real or not, then you're not talking about the Jupiter landing or the Neptune landing or the Pluto landing or any of the journeys to any of the other galaxies that they regularly take. Okay, so while you're wasting your time concerned with the minutia, these Barack Hussein Obama is off signing all these Neptunian treaties that you don't even ever get to see and are written by the corporations on Neptune when they should be written by American corporations. So Ted, I don't want to. I didn't mean to unload a volley of on you, but I want to give you all the information because you seem like a smart guy and you seem like you're going to take it all in and process it. So we did not talk about the moon landing, but I don't look at that as a failure of that conversation, because when I have a professor of satire on, I'm having him on to talk about satire, and when I have a professor of space travel on, we'll talk about space travel. But thank you so much, Ted, for calling, and let's get the next one lined up here.
Hey, this is Vinny F. from Brooklyn. Actually, no, this is Jacob F. again, and you tried to stop me and prevent me from calling in, and that violates my constitutional First Amendment rights to have free speech. So, you stand up there and you try to say you're this big lover of liberty, but then you're trying to silence Jacob F., and I don't play that way, Talon Thomas. I don't even have a question this week, but I just wanted you to know that you've made an enemy. Listen to me, Talon Thomas. You better watch your back, because Jacob F. is coming for you. Alright? Thanks for doing the show.
Well, you know what? I don't know if I can accept your thank you and give you a you're welcome, because the ominous and scary tone of that was very off-putting. And I am a fan of liberty, but that doesn't mean that I need to undergo assaults this way and get talked mean to on my own show. So I think maybe if Jacob F. wants a place where he can say mean things and talk to me in a mean way, maybe he should start his own show. All right, where the people call in and he calls me, and then he could try to be mean, but maybe I won't answer the phone because I've wised up to him. And as far as your threats, your empty threats go, I'm sure that you won't become a thorn in my side, and I know you won't become a Hamburglar-like character to this show, always messing me up and getting in the way, because you don't have the guts to do it, Jacob F. You just don't. All right. Well, I think that this new segment is really gonna be great. I think everyone is gonna love it. It went well today, and we'll start doing it most every single week, I think. So make sure to call in or write in or email in or tweet in. It's at Talon Thomas on Twitter. Talon. You can follow us on Twitter at Talon It Like It Is, or find us, send us an email at talonitlikeitis@usa.com, and you can find us on the Facebook, and you can we'll put up a number on the Twitter that you can call here soon, and you just. If you have a carrier pigeon, you can tweet at me and I'll send you the coordinates for where to send the note with the carrier pigeon. So tune in next week. Thanks for sticking around.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Talon It Like It Is. For new content and updates, visit boiledsprat.com/talonitlikeitis. See you next week.